Hey everyone, Steve here. And today I am very, very proud to announce the release of my sheet metal course. Over the last 6, 7, 8 months, I've had a lot of people request a sheet metal course, and I finally got to putting it together. Now, when you decide you want to take the course, because you're going to want to take the course, you go over to my campus and notice I have latest courses. I have this bundle that for at the moment has everything NX related that I am publishing put into it. So when you click on that bundle and scroll down, just go to view all, you'll see all the courses available, and you'll note at the very end is the sheet metal and Siemens NX. So the way the bundle works is for the first 100 people that sign up, and thank you to everyone that has signed up. I really greatly appreciate it. Hope you're learning something and getting a lot out of it. Every new course that I put out until the end of the year is going to be added and included into the bundle. It's limited time pricing. So if you're interested in everything, go for it. If not, well, I have the separate courses available. Now, as far as the sheet metal course goes, come down to the course curriculum. Notice I have 8 chapters. Let me expand all chapters. The way this is set up is, okay, you get your free preview when you sign up. I have a couple of free previews. The Flange tools, these are the base tools. I basically cover everything. And the way the lectures go, or you can follow right along because I set everything up pretty straightforward. And if there's something that you need in order to follow along with the lecture, like some of these, like the multi-bend tab and that type of thing, I provide files for that. The file is a Parasolid file, so you can import that into NX and begin following along with those examples. So you have all of the data handy and ready, whether you create it or I'm providing it to you. And that's for all of these examples, every single one of them. When you get down into the courses themselves, for example, you will have a drawing, okay? And for anybody that's taken any of my courses, they know how I like to set things up, and I'll demonstrate here again in a minute, how my courses are set up. And some of these, especially when you get down to this last one, is a reverse engineer of sorts. It's sort of setting up how you would work in the real world. So if you're working in a context of an environment, setting up your datum planes, and then creating your sheet metal part based on those datum planes in that environment. So I try to mimic real world stuff as closely as I possibly can. It's difficult coming across real world stuff that I can share, right? Most of my clients, people that I do work for, that's proprietary, that's theirs. I can't share it, but I can share what's in here with you. Now we'll go into NX, and these are basically the 8 exercises. The way that these are done, you'll note here, I have various methods that I discuss. Things like, am I going to keep the sketch embedded in as part, or am I going to expose? Is it an internal or is it external? I talk about methods as well. When we get into here and here, you'll note that you have a flat pattern, or if you have objects and curves and how to make the flat patterns, and basically going between your sheet metal application and then going into the modeling application, because there are some things in modeling that you need to do in order to finish off parts. So we swap between that, and then we get into gussets and easy ways to apply those, and then of course setting up datums and referencing datums. We get into methods on how to successfully apply beads and that type of stuff if it's going to wrap around something that's bent, taking it and flattening it out and putting in the bead and then bringing it back into its final form and shape. We get into all those kinds of methods in here. various tools. Are we designing to the inside and to the outside? And again, how to link to DATUMS and that type of stuff. We get into thick material. There are some tools that are meant specifically for very thick stampings, or I should say bent parts, and putting in the proper reliefs and talking about methods for those kinds of thick materials. And then we get into, I'm a huge fan of sheet metal from Solid, and there's a couple of the exercises in here that go over that. And the reason why I'm such a huge fan, maybe it's showing my age, is when I first started getting into unigraphics infinity years ago, the method was to either design a surface or design a solid and then thicken it to get your sheet metal parts. Now, we still do that for body and white and that type of thing. But even for simple little parts like this, I shouldn't say simple, but less complex maybe. And it was a very good way to design things, basically sculpting that solid and then using those sculpted solids to make the final part. So, as I said, there's a lot of that, and I talk about those various methods, and again, getting into the flat patterns and that type of thing. And then for the final exercise, I get into designing this part from an imported sheet metal. It could be from whatever system. It is a Parasolid. And then I talk about laying out datums and the method to lay out datums, and then how to associate your various sheet metal functions to those datums to make sure that if something changes or updates, things move along with it. And setting up those datums in the context, almost sort of like working within the context of an assembly and the methods that go along with it. So we take and redesign basically this bracket. You get a dummy solid, and then using various methods, again, swapping between creating things inside of the sheet metal application and then going into, like, there's my mirror geometry and holes and other things in the modeling application. So we talk about when to use what and swapping back and forth and proper application for that. I even talk in one lecture about how to bring in your flat pattern to a drawing. I get into creating those flat patterns. We do have a side-by-side so you can see what happens when I update the model and the flat pattern updates. So we get into quite the amount of material, like basically all, as much as encompassing as I possibly could. And there's got to be 8, 9, 10 hours of material. So it is a very thorough class. And again, every one of the lectures, every one of these, you can follow along, as well as having appropriate data so you can follow along if it's something that you cannot set up yourself, and I get into the setups. And then same thing for all of the exercises. As far as how the exercises are set up, now if I come in and let me go like this, actually not this guy, let me go to the first one. For those of you that haven't taken my course, what I do is I set up, there we go, a drawing. I go through this, and it's the intro video, how to import that raster image, how to take that raster image, position it, and then use it to design that part right on top of that raster image. So you have the ability to see exactly what I'm doing as I'm doing it, why I'm doing it, and again, follow along. And then you learn additional skills, not just sheet metal. I do this in the standard modeling and sketching and all the other courses that I do as well. So this is for people that are just taking the sheet metal course. So this allows you to not just follow along, but you have the drawing and then go on it all by yourself if you want to afterwards. So I find it's a really good way to teach, do distance learning, remote learning, this type of thing, And it basically just makes everything, like you can see all the stuff that needs to be done, all the features that are there. And again, all of this is provided in step by step, and then you can run off to the races and do your own thing. So very excited about this course, put a lot of effort into it. I hope that for anybody that takes it, you run with that information, because I do get into design methods. Anybody that knows me or has taken my classes knows that a large part of what I teach are actual real world methods, not just how to use the tool. Anyway, thank you for watching. Hope to see you in my courses. And as always, I will be posting more content, NX, and as well as other CAD systems to my YouTube channel, and hopefully I see you in the comments there. Thank you.